What is going on, YouTube? Thank you guys for being here with us. We are simply doing some deep diving into some pretty popular AI projects that I had put a tweet out about asking communities to show up and to give us some suggestions for Crypto Fundamentals and I to go over. These projects were the top voted AI projects. These weren't handpicked by us. These were picked by community and voted in. This is not a solicitation for you to go and purchase these tokens. Our goal here is to really help open eyes or maybe help you to ask questions.
Essentially, guys, it's more of a kind of insight onto the way we view and look at projects and how we think about them. And it's basically years of kind of trial and error and refinement that we're diving into. And you can see our processes with projects. And no matter how good the tech is on something, there's a timing factor. So the timing of the market is an indicator that a lot of people don't kind of get into. And that's because they're poorly trained on macro market movements and sentiment and these things, because there's so much you have to bring into this world to kind of time it correctly, and timing is part of your investment. But yeah, guys, we want to give you an educational kind of process on project. And all these projects we're talking about today, they all appear legitimate. They all appear like the developers are serious about them, and they all appear like they have working tech for the most part. And we like that. We love that. When I talk about stuff, more often than not, it does well, at least at some point down the road, not always. But and that's the kind of insight we're trying to teach you guys, how to identify these projects. And we're going to talk about the good and bad of these projects. We're not going to FUD projects ever. We're going to talk about maybe areas of improvement, maybe ask really good questions about how they're going to connect these dots and, how bridge out and things like that. But yeah.
So, to give you guys a quick rundown of the projects that we are going to go over today: INTX, Type, Brain, NEURA, Bubsy, Lexi, and PREAI. We were originally going to go with 5 projects to review. However, both CF and I agreed that a lot of these communities showed up and it was very hard to really put it down between 1 or 2 tallies to bring them on. So we've decided to do Lexi and PREAI as our kind of bonus projects to go over with for you guys. But nonetheless, we're really excited to go into these.
I want to tell you guys that the merit of the projects was not weighed in which ones we discuss or not. It's what communities showed up the most.
Yes, yes. So, and how we break this down, we've got a few different categories and we want to just briefly go over those so you guys have an idea on why we are looking at these particular things within each of these projects. So, CF, I'm actually going to have you start with the innovation and uniqueness side of it.
So level of innovation, uniqueness, and that's when you're looking at a project and you get some sort of internal excitement about it. Like your mind is telling you this is great. Right. So the level of that kind of feeling on it, that's sort of mixed with, okay, nobody else is doing this, or this person took this idea that someone else had and they made it 10 times better and added, a boatload of stuff to it. People will be excited about it. And if you're in the space even more than a year, you should be able to tell by now what people are going to be excited about and what people aren't. You don't even have to see narratives coming. There's this whole nonsense things like, you have to see the narrative coming, a year early. No, you just got to catch the narrative. That's all. So if you see it starting to trend, if you see certain things doing well, volume picking up on certain projects, that's one way to do it. So level of innovation, uniqueness is this thing very creative, or is it new tech? Is it something that's going to be, talked about in the future? And, is there Series A's going on in traditional finance for it? Is it gonna be neat? Does it have an edge and stand out among the pack, right? And that's kind of what it is.
Our second category is going to cover, is it strictly for crypto, or is that something that can be applied into real world applications?
And this is a good one, guys. It's relevant in many, many ways. And it depends on timing again and part of the cycle. So there's times when crypto relevant projects run really hard, right? And there's times where in real life projects that can be bridged into traditional finance and in real life run really, really hard. We haven't seen that in a while now, the other end, even though I put more value and stock behind it because of the way the future is going to shape out for the space. And this could be in a year or 2 years. That's where I hold the most of my value. It doesn't mean it's going to go up today. Crypto relevant ones sometimes can be more exciting. They can have more short-term hype. They can have more midterm PA. but it's good to separate them into categories so you understand exactly what kind of products you're dealing with here, because they're both going to be updated, one on the macro scale and crypto scale, any other one on a smaller scale based on narratives and sentiment and what we're doing within our own space.
The third category we're going to go into is the team. This is one of those that can be a little bit difficult, but mainly what we're going to go over here is the team active with the community? Is the Twitter updated? Are they taking weeks or 2 weeks to put out a post, or are they pretty consistent with what they're doing? And then, not that this is a completely important factor, but one of the things I actually like is the team KYC'd to a degree? Do I need to know exactly who they are? No, not really. I mean, no one knows who the creator of Bitcoin is, and yet it's the biggest asset out here. However, as our space grows daily, I feel like we have a lot of people that kind of come in, and especially with the latest pump fund kind of thing we've seen where anybody can launch a token. Obviously, that's not where we're focusing, but a private KYC personally for me, whether it's with, Hacken or Certic or Assure is one of them, it helps to give myself personally a little bit
Yeah,
of leeway to breathe and say, okay, well, at
that's right.
least there's some kind of skin in the game from these people that they can't just say, oh yeah, this is going to do this, and then disappear tomorrow. Which, again, let me reiterate here that it is not bulletproof just because they have a private KYC. It is a simple preference of mine that in this space for 4 years now, and really over the last two, as projects have become easier to launch and get out, it seems to be that I don't see as many people trying to just escape for the hills after a good week or two once they've taken the time to private KYC. Because again, they've spent the money out of their pockets to make sure that they are trying to build some level of trust there between themselves and the community. I know that Certic, Hacken, and Assure are not free KYC, and I've seen personally, I can't speak for Hackett and Certec, but I will say that I've seen the process in which Assure goes through. And again, it's not bulletproof, but it is a great
No,
deterrent. They go down to the fact of pulling out your daggum cell phone and having you GPS pinpoint your location, and then actually proving that your location is where you are saying you're at.
right.
It is a very,
And
very thorough process from them.
And I know Chapo, he's went to several law enforcement conventions and went and coordinated with law enforcement and really kind of tried to utilize them to create his product the best way possible. Yeah, like you said, there's nothing bulletproof. And another area, guys, so a team at any point can KYC or docs or plan to do it or have it in the works. And these are questions you might want to ask. So a great example of a team I was waiting for to KYC for a long time was Desync, because everything was perfect with Desync and I loved it. And, the product was there, the tech is there. You could tell they're building. I've never seen a team put out content like they put out and address community like they do and come up with detailed responses that well. But as soon as they partnered with Anchor and Arbitrum, who have doxed and high-end developers on staff, you have to go through a rigorous KYC to do that stuff, and they have to test your tech. We're not talking about desync today. This is just an example. As soon as I saw that, that gave me permission internally, because I have these set of guidelines and rules, to just talk about it finally in any way I wanted to, because I was safe to do so. Of course, the project can fail still. I was safe to do so without putting anybody at risk. And that's kind of how you want to look at these things. They're all kind of, trending up, right? How's their development going? How's their KYC process going? And these things can take time. I know specifically for the desync one, it took what to get all that stuff worked out with Anchor and Arbitrum? A couple months
Yep. Took
for sure.
the process itself was 20 days, 20 days
Yeah,
long.
right.
But yes, the process itself extended over a while because partnership
Hmm.
talks and things like that. But as soon as they
Yeah.
got on the road, it was a 20-day extensive KYC process. So
Yeah.
yes, shout out Desync. I know we're not talking about them, but I do
Right.
know that we
No,
really like them. So
it's a measuring stick, guys. So you
yes.
want your products to look like that in the end after, 6 months, a year, whatever. That's the level, right? Unfortunately, I think a lot of people think, and I'm going to get into this real quick for a minute. A lot of people out there think that me and CD, we know these people, or spend time with on the weekends. We don't know these fucking people any more than you do. We don't trust me. They're not going to invite me and CD into their world. We're docs vanilla people, man. We're vanilla as fuck. I'm like a psychiatric guy, right? Who, well, definitely rat on your ass if you're trying to do fucking, scam shit. So but anyways, yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason that that a lot of projects tend to keep us out, because most of
Right.
them are full of shit. So, and then kind of our last category, guys, and this the reason it's last on this scale is actually because it's not as important, but we feel like maybe it's okay to go over these, which is basically going to be just a very quick technical analysis. It's hard because some of these are really they're microcaps, and TAing microcaps really isn't like, it's not great shit, but at the same time, what we're really looking at on the TA side of things is not structure or anything like that, but really what the risk to reward looks like. How far is it down? And again, are these people that are consistently putting out, is it down 85%? And the project and the developers are consistently updating their Twitter, 3-4 times a week,
Mhm.
or are they down 85% and the last thing that they tweeted out was 4 weeks ago?
Right.
So that will kind of help us give a little bit of weight to a risk reward ratio outside of just numbers there.
If you're looking for, I'm going to tell you straight up, like you will not, your project will see more. If we talk about your project, people will probably look at it more. Do not expect anything to pump enormously. And that's not because not what we're saying isn't valid. It's because there is no liquidity. There's nobody that's just waiting for these things to reach levels, waiting to ape, knowing that 100 people are going to ape behind them. That's where timing comes in. And we'll discuss that a little bit too, but this is something you got to practice and get right, guys. And my the last thing I'll say, I suspect Q4 and Q1 are going to be great. We've been downtrending and kind of, boring since March. We got to be there at some point.
I think we're getting there. I do. So let's start off with the number one voted project, which was INTX, Intel X.
All right. I'm going to read their conceptual, guys, is when you're looking at a project, you want to know if they're okay. Conceptual theoretical concept is the first step, right? That's when it's essentially vaporware that's being worked on, right? Theoretical concept. It's a great concept, it's a great theory, it's cool, great, but nothing's there yet. And you have to understand that these things, that's part of the process. Some projects are full of shit, but some are actually doing things in the background and they want to launch based on their concept to get liquidity and get things going, but it happens.
Yeah, to your point on the liquidity, I mean there's no new money entering this space right now. So we've got Intel X here. We got Snipe, Swap, and Portfolio Track
All right.
directly via X. This is super interesting. So right off the bat, and it's not bad, but I see again, these guys look to be, let me look at the chart real quick. They launched a week and a half ago. Okay. So things are
All right.
still pretty fresh here. Shout out to the Intel X community because they really showed up for these guys. But looking right off the rip, it looks like we are waiting to really see, what can be kind of done here. I see join queue. So it doesn't look like we're able to really use the application in its entirety yet, but that won't keep us from being able to go through things and kind of still see what they're doing here. So I see earn INTX by using the Intel X bot and staking your token.
They just put out their stage one roadmap.
I want to say I did see somebody on Twitter say that the beta was coming through pretty soon for people to be
Yeah,
using
Phil
this.
TRD. He's a good. He does pretty decent analysis. He has a thread here. I'm going to go through it real quick because he's pretty detail oriented.
To start off with, right off the rip, when looking down at the engage and earn, the earn ITX by using Intel X bot and or staking your tokens. So it looks like we can see here via the docs, 75% of INTX gets distributed to stakers, and then 25% of it will be burned. Okay, so we've got a deflationary token off the rip that will, I can't say it will help it indefinitely, but
Mhm.
deflationary aspect generally does mean that as supply goes down, you only have so much to go around. So whether you
Yeah.
have it in staking or you're able to use it for other things, what you're able to do there is kind of have a little bit of a supply shock. So in theory, this is an equation for it to be a decent ROI if you decide to make a play on something like this. And again, this is not a guarantee. It's nothing of the sort.
Mhm.
So please leave if that's what you think. But this is just me speaking out loud and kind of going through my thought process on, obviously, I'm in this to make money. I'm in this to make money one way or another. When I see that they're burning portions of the INTX and making it a deflationary token, personally, that's something that I do like. So it looks like they collect a 0.5% fee on the transactions based on the trading bot and the sniper bot. So, that's
See, I think
nothing really groundbreaking there, but that is another parameter I like to see.
I think that they, what I think should be done in these cases, and this is because I found that staking and revenue distribution to holders has been really not a big seller. What they should be doing is a tiered percentage. If you make $10,000 on a trade on using their platform, they should take a higher fee. They should be tiering the stuff higher. If you're doing well on it, they should be taking a gouging you, no offense, but they should distribute it to holders because that brings more holders in, you're earning ETH, whatever. But I think it's a very small thing, guys. So don't think it's like uber bullish, but it's something that, shows that they're incentivizing people to come in and that, if you're going to win on their platform, it's not just 0.5%, it should be tiered. And I get that 0.5% is more $10,000 than it is 100, but still, right?
I agree with that actually, especially for the sustainability of projects. It says here, Intel X is a X-based trading bot designed to facilitate the trading process and stimulate social media engagement on tokens traded by users. By offering public buy functionalities directly on X, Intel X provides a seamless and efficient way to show support for tokens purchased, thus contributing to their growth via direct
Right.
increased X activity. Private buy, sell, and sniping functionalities available via X directs message. Okay, very cool. So, kind of stepping away from a
Yep.
Telegram trading bot and having it done within X itself. I do like that. One question I will bring to the table: certain security risks in doing that. Is it as simple as just using a direct message to interact with it in a similar way of Telegram, or is it like a lot of other applications
Mhm.
where you have to approve certain aspects of your X account before you're able to actually use the
You're going to
application?
have to give it permissions, I guaranteed, if it's run
That's what I'm
applications
thinking.
do your
That
thing, which is fine. In a sense, you get like Circle Boom and people get friend tech access, things like this. But, there has to be secure function. And obviously, we're not saying, guys, don't take this stuff bearishly. These are things that will be addressed over time if the team is legitimate. They always are, but they just started. So it's a fair question to ask, hey, how in the future you guys plan on making sure this is a secure way, a secure way to access Twitter and this and that and a secure way for us to store our funds. But otherwise, it's novel, it's unique. No one's done it before through Twitter. I'd like to know, what percentage of people, because there's a lot of people out there on CT don't understand. There's two worlds in crypto, more than two, but I'm going to talk about two specific worlds. There is a Telegram only world where people aren't on CT, and there's huge Telegram accounts, and they use Telegram, right? And they don't use CT. So I would like to know how they're going to market towards everybody coming over to Twitter to trade instead of on Telegram, right? With Maestro. That's a great idea. I think CT is great. I think they can both work. I was just curious if they had a plan for that as well. But in a sense, there's so many people on CT, it may not be necessary. You'd have to just see data over time and its use over time to see how many people are interested in using it.
This is really interesting as well. And listen, guys, this is obviously pre-recorded. I am going through and putting this together in a way that tries to make the most sense for everybody as we're doing this. This isn't a traditional segment from CF and I. This is kind of more experimental between him and I. So we don't have like a perfect way of doing this. As we're going through the questions that we have, it may be answered in these docs as we're going through them, but it's going to try to be put together in a way that makes sense for everybody so people can really understand. This isn't going to be like oh, Intel X does this, this. This isn't a review video. This is more of an inside depth on how CF and I kind of go through and we have these questions up front. And then as we go through the documents, we learn more about it. And then towards the end, whether our questions have been answered or not, that will be, TBD,
Yep.
to be determined. This is really cool. This is really interesting. So public trading on X, it says Intel X public buying feature allows users to execute buys directly via X by mentioning the official Intel X account in post comments or replies. I can make a post at the Intel X bot, tell it to buy, paste the contract address, put in the amount of ETH that I would want to put in. I do want to say that that is absolutely checking off the box for innovation and uniqueness right there. I've not seen where someone could purchase a token via an X post. That's pretty fucking cool. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's cool. It's an interesting concept. I think it could catch on. I'm not sure. So, guys, the reason I say stuff like this is because I don't decide. I think it's unique. I think it has a level of innovation. I think the team looks like they're building. I see people talking about it. It looks pretty cool. But I don't know. The market decides if these things are successful, not me. We can buy them. But like even it doesn't matter if people with 500K subs buy or my size buy or whatever. How many tokens last after that? That all is related to well, there's several factors: the usefulness of the tech and the community, and a bunch of factors outside of my control. So I like this thing intellect. And there's also the thing where, okay, this is a crypto relevant. Well, no, it's right now it's a crypto relevant project only. In real life is Twitter, but it's still CT. No one's gonna come over from your grandma's and use CT to trade. I definitely room for growth. Absolutely 100% room for growth. Sustainability, that depends on the team, community, and how much use it gets.
I see that they do limit orders. I like that. Again, to clarify, I personally wouldn't use the public trading. That's just because of
Right.
the position I'm in. And
Well,
there,
it's
here's the thing: is I,
it's so much
dude,
shit.
we buy. I was gonna say we buy. I would say 90% of the shit we buy, we don't even fucking tweet about. We don't even
Yeah,
talk about it.
100%.
So I don't, and it's not for us trying to be sneaky. It's because if you want to try to make the gains, you have to participate in it. But just because we're participating in something that may be a 500K market cap that could do well, that doesn't mean we need to run to Twitter to let you guys know about it, because then that's when fingers start getting pointed of, oh, well, that's why are these larger accounts shilling these 100K something market caps? And both CF and I can agree that's not what we're about. However, to my point, that's just not the trading style that I would do. I don't need to publicly let everyone know my every single move. But I see that there's the trade in DMs, which is what caught my, attention
Yep.
off the home
Yep.
screen. So
There's something for everybody.
yes, absolutely. I mean, at the very beginning, before we even started recording, we took just a minute saying what's up and talking about just some crazy stuff that was going on. And, I know we kind of talked quickly about the, Pavel situation in Telegram, where Telegram is the main spot for, all of these sniper bots or these trading bots and these copy trading bots and all these things like that. So it is really cool to see that someone is taking an approach to do it outside of Telegram. And X is the biggest platform, in my opinion, for a reason. So I think this is really cool being able to use X as a means and able to do it in a private manner like this.
Yeah.
So it says Intel X proposes a comprehensive X sniping and trading tool accessible directly via XDMs. This allows for a more seamless trading experience for users, eliminating the need to switch between X and other platforms, and overall allowing for enhanced efficiency when trading.
Right.
The Intel X bot also allows users to trade confidently and securely. All swaps are protected against attacks by MEVBot, so anti-MEV cool, and are safeguarded by the Intel X anti-rug system. We don't really, I don't think, need to go too much into the buy and sell functions. That's pretty self-explanatory.
It looks like they're coming up with a research and sentiment analysis tool too. How do you distinguish good research from bad is my question. It's a refinement over time, of course, but yeah.
That's pretty cut and dry right there. It offers limit orders, including stop loss and profit taking features. Let's see here. Everything that I see so far is pretty much in par with what you'd find in a Telegram trading bot on that end, brought over into X. Auto sniping. The Intel X sniper bot offers an easy to use automatic sniper bot accessible directly via XDMs. Automated system autonomously detects the method ID and max transaction amount on tokens being sniped, allowing for ease of use and high success rates when sniping. To ensure higher success rate, users may choose to set a bribe amount. Okay. It's pretty typical as well. But again, most of these things are typical within Telegram, traditional Telegram bots, Maestro and Banana. But again, the most unique feature here is that you're able to do everything inside of X, where again, 90% of crypto runs through. I am interested here with the anti-rug and honeypot tools. Proprietary anti-rug system allows users to trade confidently and securely by scanning the mempools of tokens purchased by users. Intel X is able to detect rug type transactions before they occur, front running them with an automatic sell. These rug type transactions include disproportionate changes in fees or max transactions, remove liquidity transactions, and swap amounts. So pretty much on par with, again, most others, but I do like seeing that they're able
Right.
to do it in kind of a live time through X. Let's hop over
Yeah.
to the research side.
They don't have much on that yet, but I imagine it's a tool they're going to be working on in the future.
It would be very, very cool from kind of what I'm gathering here for users to be able to provide their research. I mean, you provide great research. There's a few other people out there that try to do, threads as well that I've seen that I like. So if you can incentivize that, you had kind of brought up a question of how do you dictate what is good research and what's not. I feel like that is something that I would personally like to hear a little bit more on from them, but that is a great question to have.
So I think there is a level of edge here. We need to give this one time to kind of see what else they come up with to add to their edge, right? There is something unique in Novell here. The question is always this, guys. Will there be enough interest in the project to use it, right? Will there be enough demand for it? Will there be enough, hype behind it? And I don't think those questions can be answered yet.
Yeah. Yep. Only 10 days old. So,
The market
no,
is shit, guys. We need to see it's I haven't seen it this way in a while. I think the bear market was actually better than the time now. But, give it some time to develop. I think there is a level of edge here. I think that it could be successful to a degree. But in order for me to, this is how I operate. And I think you guys, everybody out there should know this by now. I don't fully jump on anything until I know for sure. There's guys out there who do this. If you want to get something hyped up, right? Even if I'm in a partnership with a team, this is the same way I am because in the end, I'm not getting fucked. So
very
I'm going to
true.
stick to what I do.
Very
All
true.
right. But yeah, I think it has edge. I think it's cool. I think it's neat. The developer team seems like they know what they're doing. Don't take it as like gospel. I'm here as an educational tool and a resource. I'm not a hype man, never have been, never will be. I'm here to help you guys understand the market and maybe to give some insight in my thoughts on certain ways to look at things, right, that might help you with your trading craft and edge. And maybe to point out certain things and distinctions that you guys can get used to using that have helped me. But by no
Absolutely.
means am I here to put a project down, but I will critique a project. Absolutely. Does that mean it's fun? No. There's areas for improvement on every single project out there that is legitimate. And one thing I know from working with developers for so long, and you guys need to hear this part, is that they're not seeing everything. They're blind. They have blind spots, right? And they don't take critique too well. A lot of the teams, and not open to suggestion as well. A lot of the teams, and they kind of have a vision for how they're going to do things. And a lot of the teams drink their own Kool-Aid, right? I'm not referring to any of the projects we're talking about now. I'm talking about a generalization of teams out there who drink their own Kool-Aid, who think their project is super legit and it's going to go to the moon. But when you look at it from a third party perspective or from just a purely analytical perspective, it's average, right? And maybe it's some like 20-year-old who just got a CS degree and is like just deving, so he thinks what he created is awesome, so he's super biased and hyped about it. But the reality is, when you've been in the space a long time, you can see the holes in things, and that's kind of how I view them. But yes, back to the point. I like INTX. It's a cool project, and I'll say this with every project: it needs to prove itself. It needs to get some market demand. It needs to get some use. It needs users, and that's in the end the question we come to with all these projects.
100%. Real quick on the skim tokenomics here, a million total INTX. It looks like they've got 5% buy and selfies. It looks like as well, from what I see down here, is they have a DAO. So also outside of, staking the token and then using it for the Intel X bot, it looks like you kind of have a little bit of governance within the INTX
Right.
token as well. So those are all things I like when I'm looking at a project for mid to long term after they've proven themselves that they're doing what they're doing. I do want to quickly, and this again, guys, you guys need to understand that when we raise questions, it's not bashing. These are questions that we have for ourselves. These are questions that you should be asking and be taking to the team maybe. Here's the thing is we don't know everything on these. If we happen to be wrong or we happen to not have all the information, let us know. Help educate us so that we can help educate others. This isn't a pissing contest. This isn't a this project better than this one. It's nothing of the
Right?
sort. It is simply let's bring healthy discussion to the table so that
And I
none of us
still
get
buy them.
blindsided. Yeah.
Yep, and I still buy them. Okay, prove it more. I'll talk about you more. Prove it more. I'll buy more, etc. Guys, you like some season shows a little edge, a little uniqueness. Put a little bit in there if you're curious about it. Don't fucking ape in there because we don't know everything, but over time you will. The truth always comes out in these projects, and it doesn't matter if it's the truth about who the developers are, who rubbed, who scammed. The market is the ultimate, the ultimate market maker. The project's going to die or it's going to succeed. And
Yes.
more often than not, the crypto, they're going to die. The question is, can 90% of the community profit before it dies? Right?
Yep.
50%, whatever.
I know one of the categories we had was team going
Yep.
down here to the bottom. And again, I don't know all the ins and outs of this. This is very fresh to us. This is my personal first look at Intel X. I'm not able to go down here at the bottom and click anything and learn about anything on the team. It doesn't take me to anything. That doesn't necessarily mean anything right off the bat because I can't go down here and click on tools either. There's nothing on blog. This could just be a very kind of skin and bones only 10 days old. I'm not expecting this to have, fully
Yeah.
built out. Personally, I would like to see something more on the team. Just, like CF said, a lot of the times we'll buy this, we don't talk about it, and we sit on it, and then we wait for projects to come and prove themselves, projects to do, come out and whether they KYC or docs fully or whatever the case may be. But there are certain parameters that we follow and kind of steps that we follow before we really go out and start talking about these more. And so personally, I would like to see something a little bit more about the team on that end, how they're doing things, but then as well see something with the project as far as actually proving that the X trading works. I would like to see some proof of concept there. I'd like to see them show that this is working. Obviously, 10 days old. Can't ask too much, but very, very cool concept. I'm liking what I'm seeing, but I would still exercise a little bit of caution on the fact that it's a relatively new project. The tech is not proven yet, and there's nothing really left on the team. But even if there wasn't anything on the team, if there was a good product and it was being used, to me, that kind of supersedes needing to know everything about the team. But I do want to say that I am pretty stoked on what I see here from Intel X. I do like the concept. I like their ideology. I like their structure of things, how they're planning to sustain it. But again, they are only on the very first step here of their roadmap. So cool to see. Shout out to the Intel X community for showing up and getting this project on our radar to take a look at. This is something that I'm going to be putting on my watch list. All right, guys. So the next project that we have, number 2 here, is going to be Type. Let me get them pulled up. Type AI. All right. Not that it matters. $3.3 million market cap. Let's take a look at this. I mean, honestly, it's not the end of the world on that. Looks to be rounding a bottom from an RR ratio. I actually don't mind seeing this. You've seen people step in where before it
Yeah.
seemingly became really popular when things were popping off Q1.
Right.
That's cool to see. So let's go to website.
I've
See what we got.
I've written about this one before. They have a good team. I know that they have a very experienced team of developers. I know that for sure. And it's a type to swap thing. So like essentially, let's say there's more to it than that now. There's type to snipe, type to bridge, all these features. But essentially, it works very, very well for people with disabilities and other avenues of life who can't necessarily use the other features. So it's a decent project in a sense where they are developing a real product that's useful. Um, and I think they're still building too. Let me check.
So
Yeah, it looks
this
like
is
they
going to
are.
sound stupid, but type to what are you typing through? Do they have like a DAP or is it like is this another Telegram bot or
Essentially,
okay.
yeah. So there's a video here. So it's AI meets crypto, type AI demo, where you can just kind of tell it what you want to do and it does it. So it's an AI bot companion. Go the white paper, get more involved in this one. It's been a while since I looked at it. Plain text commands into blockchain kind of transactions. So it uses AI to do this.
From what I'm reading here, it looks like they are trying to make this as user friendly for those that may not have technical
Capability.
background as possible.
Yes.
So, for instance, I see here swap 2 ETH for DAI on a messaging platform like Telegram. So, essentially, what they're doing is they're taking out the headache of looking up ETH, finding ETH contract if they needed to, looking up DAI, finding DAI contract, which those two, particularly, they're pretty common. One question I would have on there is if you have more than one. So, for instance, if you were wanting to let's say we want to swap Nero for ETH. The first question is, okay, well, which Nero? So I would be interested to see how they go through with combating multiple tokens under the same ticker. I feel like a lot of people look at our space and they feel like they need to be a fucking rocket scientist in order to do this stuff, and it's not that difficult. But I also have to explain to my mom how to simply buy Chainlink or Ethereum on Coinbase. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas if she was simply able to, get set up and say, purchase 1 ETH
Yep.
or purchase $500 of X project, that is really, really cool. I like that. It helps to take down a barrier of entry that is currently,
Right.
keeping quite a few retail people out.
Right. And this thing, they got a great AI bot, an assistant, right, that moderates conversation and does the learning and integrates and generates images and it learns from all the text that goes into it. It's there's no doubt they're building something out here that has use case 100%.
And
The
it
chart is
looks
a reflection of markets, in dilution, and then that's every chart right now almost. So like I'm not too concerned with charts right now, guys. Whatever's still standing up when utility season comes back, we'll probably get a bid. So
I like that they are interoperable. It looks like there's a few chains that they do. It's not just dictated to Ethereum or Binance or anything like that.
right. Mm-hmm.
Integration with DeFi platforms, so that's pretty cool. I would assume something like Aave or along those lines, because it does say lending and borrowing. That's really cool. I mean, listen, that is. I want to make sure that I say this clearly. That is freaking big. If you're able to tackle an issue where you have somebody that is very, very green in this space, but they want to be a part of what we're doing in the sense of lending, borrowing, actually involving themselves in the DeFi sector. If you
Right.
can make it so that you simply type what you're wanting to do, that is really cool. I feel like that is a very complicated thing that they're trying to do.
They have a lot of staff. From what as I spoke to the developer at length a couple months ago, and they have a lot of staff over there, and they're building something for real. That's what they're trying to do is reduce the barrier of entry to all things crypto. And through trading bots is obviously the easiest and most convenient way to do this. So I feel like they do have a product here. Type does.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm just now
Yeah.
looking into this. This is pretty cool. I like this.
Yeah. Well, they've been building a while, and from what I've seen, they're skilled developers.
Yeah, it looks like they launched the second week of Q1 this year.
Yep.
Again, obviously, as CF was saying, these charts don't do any of these projects justice right now. We
No.
have literally been bleeding since freaking April. As an entire industry, we
Right.
have been bleeding since April. This chart has absolutely nothing to really do with type and what
Right.
or I'm not saying, I shouldn't say what, but how their products should be viewed. You should really be looking into these docs because they've got some pretty cool things that they're trying to tackle here. I would personally like for me and you to get these guys on in a spaces and learn more about what
They've
they're
been doing
doing.
AMAs pretty steadily. You could
Cool.
easily have them in spaces. The media developer, I think his name is Matt, but I'm not sure. But I think he mentioned he might have a software company or so or something like that to that effect. Obviously, when you look at the workup of what they've been doing, the technological efficiency and production here is on this project, especially when you look at what they built over the period of time, what they built, it's more than 99% of other microcaps.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
cool. Looking at their Twitter as well, they're active on there. Looks like they have an AMA scheduled for tomorrow. It looks like they're updating the rev share, distributed 70K in rewards. And I like this. They did it with a mixture of both ETH and type instead of just keeping it with type tokens. I feel like sometimes if you do too much of a native token, you can actually decentivize people a
Mhm.
little bit. I want to quickly look at, do you know off the top of your head what their rev share like as far as how they
No,
do it? Okay. I'd
let me look
ass-
here with you.
I'd assume there's a very small portion of each transaction that goes back through, whether it's using the bot or executing a trade in some manner. I'm not sure. So
50% of the revenues from the transaction fees.
cool. How would you put this as far as innovation goes? There are projects that I have
It's
seen.
crypto related right now, but it has the potential to bridge to in real life, dependent on what kind of audience they're targeting. Because when I first discussed this, it was clear that this could work for fully built and scaled the way they kind of theorized they could, that it could scale and be used for people with disabilities and or people that are not technologically proficient, right? So we have these minority groups. For minority groups of like this that have disabilities, and they gain the support of the masses too, because the masses want these people to participate. It's something that has the potential to bridge to in real life. It's, so it can be a hybridization or a mixture of both or one or the other right now it's mainly crypto. But I have no doubt, like if they were to partner with some kind of institutions with disabilities, but to say they're interested in crypto, that's the other part. But I think eventually, when the market comes back, retail comes in to 1 year, 18 months, 2 years, whatever it is, could even be 6 months from now. An area of interest could be considered for a lot of people that are on the outside right now.
This is something that I don't take that lightly. I do think that taking down the barrier to entry for retail is a massive, massive block that we have right now. I think that if they can pull that off to a degree of that they are the main project to do that, that could be something
Mm-hmm.
special there. They got a decent team as far as amount of people on there. I don't see anything about them being doxxed or anything like that. Not a big deal again. But I do like the fact that if I want to research the team to an extent or have a name or something like that, it's here. It is cool to see that they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people on their team. It seems maybe more when you add moderators and things like
Yeah.
that. 7 people, 7 core people on the team. Not all of them, but it looks like a few of them had their own Twitters and stuff. So that's always
I
cool to
talked about
see.
this. I talked about this yesterday. I want to touch on it again during the video. Like, I really wish a lot of these projects that are really good, like Type AI, would have left AI to their name and come up with some kind of name that kind of indicated and hinted towards them lowering the barrier of entry and or helping people to integrate this into their lives. Because word AI is in so many projects right now that the sensitization factor has come into play with people where they're just scrolling past these projects because all they see is this AI and that AI and this AI. And there's so many of them that it's not unique anymore. Cool. Okay, you got AI in your name and it says your name, and I just assume you're a Telegram bot that's, whatever, that's going to go to 1 million and then dump, right? And I'm just telling you, if I'm getting that read, everybody is. And so I'm not saying they have to rebrand or anything, but I wish these guys would have come up with titles for their companies that are a little bit more conducive to what they're doing and kind of draw people in, and then they can learn about what they're doing. I think a lot of them at the time were trying to capture the AI narrative that was going on, which has largely disappeared by now. And it probably doesn't matter that much in the end, but it's something I kind of been thinking about.
Yeah, I think you're on the money there. Quickly looking at their risk reward, very solid ratio. Obviously, guys, please understand that this is not to be taken as it will go there. This is to simply look at and kind of say, well, 14 to 1 risk reward
Mhm.
ratio. And that is simply from our current level that it's at to the original floor here where
Right.
it took off from. So good risk reward in my opinion. I like the product. I think it's very cool. I do agree that I wish they'd have left AI out of their name. It is one of those things that's just I personally overlook most things that people try to show me that has AI in it right off the rip. I really do. There's very I won't go into it because it's our last project, but PREAI was one of the very few, and that's only because when somebody put it on my radar, they put it with a good description of what all it was doing, and so that's what made me look into it. Otherwise, had somebody just dropped me, look at this ticker, I really would have gone
It's
just
the
right
same for
by it.
me too. It just, I've seen it so many times. My brain is just, and I'll force myself to do it now and again. But in the end, like how, and Type A is probably the exception, guys, because it launched Q1. So take this with a grain of, what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Like, how have teams not understood this yet? And if teams can't understand something so basic about their title, they can't put much thought into the title of what they are by trying to induce investors and kind of giving them a brand that's going to represent what they're doing as a whole. How fucking good are they? I'm just saying it out loud. A lot of people hate that about me. You want a hype man? I'm going to recommend a lot of pages out there that get you wrapped up in dog shit.
They filed for their LLC
Yep.
before they launched the token even.
Yeah. They're
Uh,
docs and all that. Yeah, they're good.
this is I feel like this is like a fucking obvious thing that should be done, but I feel like in our space I've seen it more where projects are launched and then they're like, oh, now registered as an LLC in
Oh
Delaware
yeah,
or
after I hit 10
Wyoming. And
million, I want to, I know I'm gonna have to do taxes and all this shit, so I got to register. But I think a lot of these people are gonna. I heard some guy say the other day that teams won't be held accountable to the FTC and IRS because they didn't register as an entity. Okay, yeah, because the FTC and IRS give a fuck.
exactly. We're gonna roll over to Brain, and
Brain, never heard of that one. Let me type it in.
I think they are Sebra AI. So again, another one of
I've
those
heard of
where
it.
y'all could have left the AI out of it, but we're not here to critique that. We're
Okay,
not here to
let's
talk
not
shit.
talk about that anymore because it's probably annoying people, but they get what we mean.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
let's fucking spend some time on your title, man.
Let's
Just
see here. So express anything with the magic of AI. Bring your ideas and characters to life. So I'm going to take just a quick second.
another thing I look for, guys, on if I see like an empty Git book that's just basic BS, I just ignore it because they haven't put any time and effort in. If I don't see effort, and effort is something that's ignored in this space, and then people lose money and wonder why. If I don't see any effort, like, because if I'm writing something as a person who's created this, I want people to get my passion. I want people to feel what I'm feeling, right? Let's hear why you love it, man. Let's hear why you're passionate. Let's hear why you wanted to create this concept, right? And oftentimes I don't see that, and I would like to see more of it. I'm not talking about this one in particular. I'm talking about general because I was looking at the Git book. But
So it looks like they are building out bots.
e-commerce store, every website. So it looks like kind of a DApp store, e-commerce website, content creator blog. Create a custom AI agent for yourself to personalize your own needs, like a second brain. Okay, so what they're doing is giving you the ability to, to have your own personal AI agent.
Which you're kind of seeing that already right now. You go to any freaking car dealership website and you're greeted
Mhm.
with a hello, whoever kind of little Jarvis person and ask you how they
Okay,
can help you in
so
that stuff. So let's
his
see.
response here says our goal is to build an open permissionless ecosystem where anyone can create smart tools similar to plugins on Shopify or Chrome. To create these tools, you need to hold a certain amount of tokens, ensuring commitment and security within the ecosystem. Okay, interesting.
There's obviously questions that I have there, but that's more would be directed towards the developers. How complex can those plugins get? Are
Like you
they,
can make your own Telegram groups, and
yeah,
you can put. There's a lot you can do with this. I can see that. I need to take a few minutes here.
definitely. So this is the rabbit hole.
It looks like you could integrate this into your own e-commerce store, like if you had your own store. Customer stores support store management information, right? So it looks like you can use their part of what they do as an e-commerce store is you can use it as a personalized assistant for people who come onto your website,
I like that. Okay.
resolve issues. Yeah, so that saves a lot of costs, overhead, right? A lot of time. Then the more data they collect, the better they get, right? All these things.
How does AI agent come into play here? 24/7 customer service. Okay. So, along the lines of what I was thinking there, personalized assistant can learn from customer interactions and provide personalized recommendations and solutions.
I
Okay.
see a guy here I know that's always in my comments. Seems like a smart fella. Marco. He was saying that you can leverage your AI agent to apply for 1,000 jobs in a single day. He'd be busy answering the fucking phone the next day. I'll tell you that.
Wow. Okay.
This bot, Sebra AI, would have the capacity and ability to do that either now or down the road, is what he's saying. Because it
Okay.
analyzes candidate information, examines job descriptions, AI can, and can generate CVs and cover letters to each job. Who's going to read them?
See, the
But
collected
yeah.
data is saved, analyzed, and compared against initial goals. AI analysis algorithms will provide insight on what could be improved. Insights from data
Okay.
combined with additional human input, correcting and highlighting extra points, lead to model training cycles. This will result in a new set of actions designed. So
So they have a public marketplace that you can list and test and share your ideas on a public marketplace, but essentially would actually solidify your intellectual property if you have any, right? There'd be timestamps and a database for it. Kind of cool. And you get to share it with other people. There's a personalized AI data, so you can collect data from interactions, language inputs. There's a lot here. It looks like they have a lot of features.
they do. That's why I was a little confused at first to what they were actually doing, but
You
now
always
it's
have
it's
to take your
becoming a lot
time.
yeah, it's becoming a lot more clear now. Let's see here. The environment where AI agents are deployed is just as important as the functionality itself. We have our public marketplace, which is already up and running and open to everyone. Here you can deploy your AI agent in the quickest and most cost-effective way. It benefits from a growing ecosystem, giving you the chance to be discovered by others and to discover others yourself. This marketplace acts as a knowledge sharing hub where you can interact with the personal knowledge of
Okay.
other ideas. Okay.
I hope this is the right brain. I'm coming across a lot of brains.
Nope, this is correct. It's Sebra
Okay.
AI. Yep.
Yeah. All right. It's a tool for people to use in multiple different ways to develop their own AI ideas and help them. So kind of a living assistant that has a lot of capabilities.
See, they have a medium. I like that. First of all, let me back up. They launched June 4th. So they've been
Hmm.
live almost 3 months. One question I would have is for future capabilities. One thing I agree that I've seen on here is that they said that everyone's going to have their own personal AI assistant. I agree. One thing I would be really interested to learn more about is do they have any plans of possible identifying AI? So for instance, we're getting into a world where a lot of images and a lot of videos that we're seeing are being created from Sora and Chat GPT and all
Yeah.
that. I'd be interested in knowing more. I know that what their original idea here is, which is, being it's personal, your personal AI agent,
Yep.
right? But I would be interested to see if they have any plans for similar to Jarvis, like a defense
Right.
side, being able to identify what is AI because every day it becomes a little bit harder to identify what is either content that's AI or videos and pictures that are AI. And that in itself
Yeah.
would be interesting because I feel like it's kind of along those lines, but they're obviously targeting more along the lines of e-commerce and just personal assistant.
Yeah. I agree. I think things take time to evolve too.
Looks like tokenomics 10 million supply, 55% initially into liquidity, 15% into staking, which is locked. That's locked for 3 months. So it
Okay.
looks like that is coming up here soon, probably be unlocked. 10% for research and development, 15% for the team locked. See team tokens held for 8 months, liquidity locked for 18 months, 5% to marketing. Looks like they've got a 5% buy and sell tax. I guess I would kind of question there a little bit on the locking 10% for R&D, but then also having the tax going to R&D as well, and
Yeah.
not having more go directly either into the project itself, supporting the chart, supporting, a lot of people I feel like don't realize that these taxes a lot of the times they should be, in my opinion, and this isn't just a reflection on brain here. This is just how I see things. I'd like to see tax being used to the team and not too many tokens being given to the team, right? Because it incentivizes kind of away from, if the team is having to sell tokens, depending on how it's done, it could be harmful to the chart in the long term as well. But a tax is one of those things where if a project's performing, and the volume's there, hell yeah. I mean, those teams should be able to eat. Those teams have to, if you want a good project, those teams are full time. So seeing
Yeah,
that there, that would be something I kind of would question a little bit. Okay, but also it says here tax spendings, June 10th, they added three liquidity or three ETH. June 15th, they added another three ETH. Let me backtrack a little bit there and say that I do like the transparency that they've put that up there. But again, I do kind of question why we got 10% for R&D and you've got 4% of every transaction coming in and out towards R&D as well. I'd like to maybe talk to the team a little bit more on that side of things. Team looks like they've got 4 people on their team: developer, their AI trainer, they've got their UI UX guy, and
right.
then it looks like they've got some PR. So that's cool. It's still nothing really too into detail, no private KYCs or anything that I see. But again, guys, that's not a huge weight for me. I do like
Yeah,
to see that for just personal, but that's not like going to ever keep me from buying a small amount of a project.
that's pretty cool. They're going over a case study with collectibles and AI agents, and they're talking about how Gary Vee can use his platform and to scale knowledge, and he can input all the data he's ever had and expertise and text and photos into the agent, and it would handle all the same tasks he already does with explanations that he would already do, and efficient. Would be very efficient at scale, so it would improve his reach, things like that. Pretty cool.
I feel like I've been a little critical of these guys, but mainly it's because this isn't something that I, number one, had ever looked at before. But number two, this isn't something that I had that I've seen too much on, as far as I've seen the assistants in Telegram bots, but they're kind of limited. So I like the fact that you're able to use this on things outside of just Telegram. So in my opinion, it kind of hits home on the, is this just crypto application, or does it have a broader application to it? And I think we can put in there that this would have a broader application to it, in the sense of you're able to put it on, just more traditional things outside of it being dialed into crypto only. So that's
Right.
cool to see.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts on Brain?
No, no, it's really interesting. I like to see how it plays out and how they develop and come along. But that's my words with every project. But it's definitely has an edge. It's definitely doing things that are interesting that nobody else is doing. Pretty cool, really.
Yep. And I also
Charts I'm
like,
not going to talk about. Come back. We'll come back to charts and take requests on charts when things start to heat up again, Q4, Q1 in those time frames.
absolutely. And guys, understand that these are like, these, we say deep dive, but we got 7 projects here, and there's only so much time that CF and I can really take to put into these. So when I say
Mm-hmm.
deep dive, we're not going through every fucking nook and cranny that we can find here. We're trying to do
Right.
a general premise, but then do a deeper dive into the docs that will kind of help us
Mm-hmm.
to understand the project a little bit more in its entirety. So the last thing I'm going to say on Brain, I do like that I could actually fucking click one of the links and it takes me to, I can click on their app. It looks like that's live, and you're able to
Right.
come through here. And obviously, I'm not going to go through this, but I will do this later on. But it looks like there is already some things that they have here in their marketplace: LSD trip, gradual complexity. It looks like they're breaking down to the basics of quantum computing and things like that. So this is cool. This is something that, just me being the person that I am in my free time, I like to dig into this stuff. I'm going to be saving this right now, actually, to come back and do a little bit deeper dive into this. Let's run over to NEURA. We got Neurahub. So Neurahub, we've got a 850K market cap, 1 million fully diluted, 200,000 in liquidity. Chart, it's pretty much on point with the rest of the fucking industry right now. Looks like they
Is this the
launched,
Neura, the AI, correct?
no. So it is Neura, and it is Neurahub, and their website is neurahub.app. It says one-stop generative AI suite for daily creation. So let me take a look and see some of the things that they are building with, and maybe some key differences. Because what I'm seeing here, this really looks similar to like what I would find on Chat GPT, just with kind of a different skin to it. Got a virtual assistant, Neurahub revolutionizes the coding experience, enhancing speed, simplicity, and efficiency like never before. Whether you're a seasoned coder or just starting out, our platform accelerates your workflow. So the first thing I would like to know, and again, these are legitimate questions that I have, and I'm
Documents, chat, image code, voiceovers. Yeah, it's got a lot here. Go ahead.
there is a lot here. This was one of the few projects that when I asked the original tweet of, come support AI, we're going to deep dive into them. Once these guys were tagged and it was brought to our attention that this segment
Yeah.
was kind of being put on here, they were very interactive. They were very much so wanting to be there in the know and kind of see what we were about, and they were offering up different areas. I think even their founder even posted on there something, but that's cool to see, because what that
Mhm.
tells me is that they're open for communication on that end. And
Right.
like you were saying, a lot of these projects, it's not that they're just, they don't really give a shit to answer these in-depth questions. Rather, it's because they think they're too busy, or they don't have good answers, or
Yeah.
the answers that they're going to give, they know that it can be easily debunked, and that's going to be the end of their shit. These
And the
guys,
goal of this stuff.
I
Go
was
ahead.
just going to say, this is one of those that just from not the website, but just from the Twitter interactions that I had with them, it gives me one of those where, like, I my main question would be, what is like a key difference between this and like a Chat GPT, an open AI? My guess is going to be that this is obviously, decentralized, whereas open AI is a
Yeah.
much more centralized source. But I would be interested to get them on and kind of dig through with them and see what their differences are. I'm not
Yeah,
going to
the
go.
AI writer it's pretty interesting. They got a lot of features here: summarized text, product descriptions, AI tools, right? They do a lot of things, it looks like, but imagery, speech to text, voiceovers, code.
I genuinely feel like this is a decentralized Chat GPT, which absolutely
Yeah.
has its place in this market.
Right.
What I do like is that they've got a ton of different options for you, but they're all relevant.
I'd love to see this integrated into Twitter for content creation or something like that.
Effortlessly convert the content of YouTube videos into professionally crafted blog posts, primed for publishing, all within the simplicity of a single click. Streamline your content creation process and bring the richness of the video
Mm.
content into the written word. I feel like there is a place for that, not to dive too deep into each one of these models, but
Right.
there is absolutely a place for that in a world that we're trying to simply get breakdowns from and get
Mhm.
to. In our videos, sometimes they're a little lengthy. If you could go through and put in an hour and a half, but then get the breakdowns of the basics of what we're talking about, that
Yep.
there is absolutely a place in our space for that. Chat with documents. Let me see if there is anything about. I know the Teams docs, because, like I said, I already had I think it was the developer or the project lead. He had put a video of him talking on the Twitter post.
Unless it was AI.
I mean, overall, I feel like
I
I
like it.
probably need to dive deeper into everything there, but I can't have my questions answered obviously right this moment from them. But I would like to have them on as just to ask them some primary differences between. I do see the subscription service down here. Let me see if they have any docs that I can see. Let's take a very quick look at this, because I would like to see how, number one, right there, that's cool. You can see off the rip that this doesn't look like as you had put it a few minutes ago, a very simple documentation. It looks like they've taken the time, put things
Yeah.
through, and put some thought into it. There's the word I'm looking for. They put some time and thought into it. Don't want to go into all this. I wanted to take a look at their revenue deck, because I was interested in that. Rev share program aims to reward token holders with 50% of gross profits generated from the platform. So I'm assuming that, yep, so here's your sharing model. It looks like they're not forcing you to lock any of them up. It looks like it's going to be simply for
Mhm.
holding. I do like that. I like that. And then I don't want to say I don't like that, but I understand the reason for some of these platforms having their
Yeah.
tokens locked up in staking as well. But I do personally like that you don't have to do anything with them there. They have
Yeah.
tiers for obviously holding more, incentivizing larger holding. And then obviously assuming that these monthly programs here, these monthly subscriptions are where that rev share comes from. So That's super smart, especially if these guys are able to
Yeah,
open AI and Chat GPT was the shit for a little while, but they have been very quickly dropping, like very quickly, as opposed to when I say dropping, I mean like market share of the AI output that they were having. They
yeah,
were like the bee's knees, but now you're seeing a lot more projects come forth. And I think that there's definitely a place for a decentralized Chat GPT, open AI
right,
suite
right.
to be had here. So shout out Neura, shout out Neura community. Pretty cool that they showed up heavily. And again, I'd like to have them on like a spaces sometime to dig a little bit more into this. But overall, I do like what I've seen from them.
Hmm.
They are crypto related, but it looks like I it's hard for us to say real world application. I feel like OpenAI and Chat GPT has that pretty much on lock. But for those that decentralization is important to, I feel like that is a pretty big mover on there. Innovation and uniqueness, I wouldn't say it takes the cake really anything in there. I mean,
Yeah,
this is not a borrowed idea, but it's an idea I've seen before, obviously. But when you look at what they're doing, there's definitely places for it. I would need to spend a lot more time fiddling, just like with Brain. I'd need to spend a lot more time fiddling with these guys and to really see if there's anything that I like
right.
from there.
Yeah, agreed.
Quick, let me do this just so I'm not playing favorites here. And I know I didn't do that for all of these, but I'm really just doing that for the ones that are seeing brutal sell-offs so people can have an idea. Right at a 850K market cap. Sorry, let me get this flipped over right here. So risk reward ratio about 5 to 1. Yeah, but again, this has been around since end of March. Saw a really good uptick, funny enough, in May. So they must have had some really good news in May because that was when everything
Yeah.
was really starting to eat shit.
Last thing I'm going to say about this project, and it relates to all of them, timing and narrative needs to be there for these things to do
Yes.
well. And we might be just waiting on that for some of these projects, but I can't tell you for certain. Like I hold some projects that are just like this, and I hold many, and I'm waiting for timing and narrative to come around. I bought them cheap, after they sold off and things like that. But I can't tell you 100% certain if that day will come for them or not. We're at the point where you see projects like 0x0, cool project, great project, right? But once it reached a point where they were pretty much done building out and talked about, and people understood what they were doing, and it came time to onboard users, right? And there's where we're at. Where are the users? Where's the liquidity coming from? Is at a certain point when the catalysts run out, things are fully built, and these are things that are widely understood now, I think, by all. There's just no point for people to hold these things because it isn't like a derivative stock where where they can, hold it long term and make a lot of money. And now, especially with what we see, but Bitcoin is here. Like I wouldn't hold any of the long term investment like I wouldn't Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to be a great investment long term. So, but anyways, they're worth holding some for sure. They're worth supporting. They're worth giving developers who are good developing good tech. They're worth talking about. They're worth right? They've earned the right to be talked about and to have some publications and to have some decent PA. But because of the timing and the narrative, there's just no way to tell when these things are going to do well, or if some of them will come back. And I'm just going to be honest on this channel. I don't know. I still hold them. I'll still buy them. I'll still talk about some if I find it relevant. But I can't tell you if they're going to come back and if they're going to be relevant.
Yes. Yeah. And that's another thing you guys need to understand here. We're not incentivized to talk about these projects either way,
Even if
good
I
or
was,
bad.
I talk about it the same.
That's it. That's it. We're just giving y'all what we see here and how we see it. So last thing I'm gonna say on here personally about Neura, I like that they're active on their Twitter.
Yeah, I
Um,
love that how many products they got going, and it's very useful. It's cool. There's a lot of things I like. There's some things that we've talked about that I think are better, and some that are worse. And I'm not going to talk about them, but you should be able to tell by yourself by now by the tools we're talking with the tools we're using and how we're speaking about them.
yes.
And if you're holding them and you're angry because we spoke about it a certain way, it's because you're not seeing the project clearly, or maybe you put all your hopes and dreams into it and you haven't developed the skill of pivoting yet. Pivoting is a very crucial skill developed here in the space that takes years to develop. It's the ability to be like, well, okay, that ran its course. I can see there's no narrative there. I can see it's not going to be adopted. I can see there's no use case for it in society. And it's time to walk away. And a lot of people don't know when that is. And it's a skill that's learned. So
Absolutely.
learn to develop it, guys, because if you don't sell, someone else will, right? On these projects that aren't gonna make it, make it that far. And I think a lot of people in the end feel bad for the developers, feel bad for the teams. Here's the thing about that. I'm going to get into this. It's important. Yes, I'm empathetic towards developers who have worked their ass off and have tried to make a project work and have done well at it and built an actual product and it doesn't take off. I have empathy for them and I give them respect for what they've built. But in the end, if we're kind of coddling these people, like the best moments of growth for me in my life was during failure. If we're supporting these projects and propping them up because of this, when we know they're not going to work out in society and or have a narrative or change something, right? We're not giving that developer another chance, another crack at doing something even a better way, right? And that's essentially what everybody needs is they need to have failure come so they can develop something better. They can learn from their mistakes. They can do well, right? In that sense. And that's what like I kind of feel like in life that's the same thing. When people coddle people's emotions and feelings, well, you're telling them they're doing okay when you really believe they're not. Well, you're not helping them. You're hurting them because they're never going to grow. It's the same thing concept here. No matter how much I like a developer, and there's developers I really, really, really like, and I know they've built a really respectable product and a good product, but I'm still not holding it if it's not going to do well in the market. It isn't a personal thing. It's like it's my money, right? And I still respect and like this person. And I think they do good work. I would vouch for them on that type. But the market decides something. It's a sixth thing that I don't have a say in. And a lot of people think influencers have all this power, but we're just highlighters. We're pointing in a direction to look at something, get a lot of bandwidth because a lot of people will take what I say and look at something. But we're not a community that's gonna. I don't have 1,000 bags that I can support. You know, that's where it comes in.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at Bubsy. I have no problem
Yeah,
saying I've got a small bag of that. They've
yeah,
been
very
around.
popular.
Yeah, they've been around a little bit now, and launched in April, it looks like. I know that this is a pretty popular token amongst CT, and but I have not done like thorough digging into this. I know I think a little bit more about this one than I would off the rip. So if
I
there's
just
any,
haven't looked at it in a while.
I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, it's a competitor to PAL, PAAL.
Moderate, analyze, understand your community with the help of AI. But they're claiming to have more capability.
I'm not connecting my wallet to nothing. Let's see here. Read
Never have,
docs.
never will.
Never have, never will. All
Never
right.
staked
So
either.
documentation, just clicking it, obviously, and just surface scanning. That's a good little bit to read through. Obviously, not going to go through all this, but let's just take
Yeah.
a look at what we got going on here. At the core, Bubsy is a tool that can help better communities. Bubsy is fun for project owners and communities. It is designed to reduce human effort. What is nonsense versus no nonsense? Okay. Our research indicates that over 90% of the additional services provided by AI assistants are rarely utilized by communities. I would agree with that.
True. I would agree.
Such as
A lot
market
of it's
data.
unneeded, just fluff.
Yes, yes. Such as market data and unnecessary utilities. Often these features are seen as gimmicks or inferior to established market leaders. I would definitely agree with that too. With this in mind, we are committed to cautious vertical expansion, ensuring we avoid the pitfalls encountered by many others. Okay.
Okay.
So, this is kind of what I was interested in seeing a little bit about. Bubsy uniquely combines the concept of product as a service with brand as a service. Our emphasis is on the latter as we aim to transform Bubsy into not just a service, but a relatable and engaging brand. This strategy addresses a common challenge. AI companions and assistants are often perceived merely as machines, making it difficult for users to form emotional connections with them. This is akin to the difference in affection one might feel for a pet versus a robot vacuum cleaner, regardless of the latter's superior utility. We believe that infusing Bubsy with a distinctive character and personality, we can enhance its utility and make it more appealing and user friendly. By doing
Yeah.
so, Bubsy becomes not just a tool, but a companion that users can relate to and enjoy interacting with. Okay.
Right.
I fuck with that. I definitely can understand that. It seems like it is PAL with more of an approach at having a more interpersonable experience with your assistant within your Telegram group. That's why we created Bubsy, a companion to your Telegram community to do everything you could and couldn't do before, but better. Okay. Not to shit on them, I feel like that's kind of beating around the bush a little bit. I don't feel like there was really an answer like directly to the proposition there, kind of more giving a gist
Yeah.
around it. But I mean, I understand the premise of it.
Yeah, they got a good configuration here. They're using a lot of things that, you know, essentially the spot for the community to capitalize on relevant data and kind of leave out the irrelevant data.
I'm a meat and potatoes guy, right? I am not a filler dude. I
Mhm.
cannot stand that shit. So obviously, we can only go by what they're telling us here. But if this is accurate, this is a pretty solid team structure here. You've got 18 years experience, got a PhD in data science, somebody that's had some 5 years of blockchain back end experience, 3+ years as a full stack developer, machine learning AI. Would like to know a little bit more about how long that's been there, but that's not super
Right.
important. Front end developer, 4 years experience. It's cool to see. Let's hop down into productivity here. Bubsy AI leverages tools like Asana and Slack to create a productive environment with clearly defined tasks, deadlines, and prerequisites. This structured approach boosts productivity and efficiency, leading to quicker delivery times and superior quality outcomes. Reflecting the organization's agility, Bubsy AI frequently implements Scrum methodologies at the product level. Basically, you're just giving it clear parameters and putting its priority with what you'd like to see. All
Right.
right. So that goes right back to our, leaving the filler out and just delivering meat and potatoes. Roadmap looks like they're pretty well along there, considering they've been out since April. It looks like they're in phase 3, which is their feature expansion and MVP. Like they're in the middle of their DApp development. Like to know a little bit more
Mhm.
about that and what that entails. A Bubsy buy bot, so kind of going into that sector a little bit. That's something I would personally like to see, especially if you're already able to kind of direct your parameters
Right.
around prioritizing it. I feel like every place has centralized exchanges and listings and stuff like that in their Q4,
Hmm.
phase 4. Bubsy DApp, let's just take a very quick look at this. Contains 3 core parts of its ecosystem: the Bubsy bot, the Bubsy DApp, and the Bubsy hub. They all work seamlessly to boost community productivity and maximize exposure. Purchasing your first Bubsy. All right, so you need to purchase it, I'm assuming, with the Bubsy token. Setting up your Bubsy, going through all that.
It's innovative and it's neat, and you can tell they're trying to do it the right way. I mean, it's innovative in a sense where it's taken something that's already existed and is trying to do it in a novel approach with better data driven, with better data science, and with more relevant information. So I do like it for that effect. I don't like that it's the second or third or fourth mover.
Yes, I agree.
There was PAL, there was AIX, there was several of these things, and you know we all got into the narrative. Bubsy's been around a while, and I think it's still holding a pretty good market cap and I think the reason for that is because it is a really good team and it is really experienced developers, and they are creating an edge that can't be found in these other bots. But we need to get to the point where we see utility season pick up so we can see a real winner here. That's where I'm at with this, with all of it, almost. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking at this last bit and then we're going to roll on to our last
Oh
two
yeah.
bonuses and we'll be done. Let's take a look at their token fee distribution real quick. This is something that I always like to look at. Revenue generated from this fee is allocated as follows. Bubsy holder, 20% of collected fee is automatically sent to the staking DApp, accessible at there. Distribution
Yep.
is automated. Yep. 30% of the collected fees, excuse me, earmarked for the development and marketing. It's understandable. 30% for the team, understandable as well. Remaining 20% is allocated to diversify, invest in, and expand the Bubsy ecosystem. I want
Yeah.
to look then at 85% upfront for liquidity. Great. 5% partnerships, small amount of 5% to the team, and then 100% looks like it's being unlocked next year, and then 5% to airdrops. This is cool. I like this. I think more projects should do this. Withhold for airdrops for beta testing and
Yeah.
different aspects like that. That's really big. Like the tokenomics, I like the breakdown here. From what I've seen, I would say that it looks like they're trying to stand out more than some of the current projects that are out there,
Yeah.
with continued developments. I won't shit on those that have been around, but I feel like the few that have been are a little stale at this point. So cool to see. Shout out Bubsy community for getting you guys on here, so we could take a look at project. We'll take a very quick RR look at how things are stacking up. About a 3-to-1, lower than some, but
Yeah.
this is still holding a $2 million market cap, a little bit higher than the last couple that we've looked at. But yeah, Bubsy AI, guys, Bubsy. That's one I, again, just
Okay.
to preface, I got a small bag of that, so
Mhm.
don't buy it. Buy it. Don't give a shit. My bag, if it pumped 10x from here, it's really not going to make that much of a difference for me if I'm being
Right.
completely honest with you. So let's roll over to our last two bonus ones. Lexi, Lexi. Lexi was not even on our radar until I retweeted it, and then their community just absolutely showed up. So I do know, just because I've seen, I had the shield, people shielding this to me quite a
Mhm.
bit a while back. I do know that this is essentially a
Another the
bot, but
training bot.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bot, but it is on WhatsApp. So I know you and I had talked about this a little while ago, just in, again, we bounce stuff off each other quite a bit. And I know one of the things that you brought up that was a really fair point is majority of what we do is on Telegram. And I think
Hmm.
with the big question that you had for a project like Lexi AI, we're going to go into it like we have with the others, but I think the biggest question that we kind of had here, or question that was up in the air, is Telegram is the place for crypto. Now, it could be argued that WhatsApp is the biggest communication app, but it is
Sure is.
not known for being used as a Telegram trading bot. And I think your
Right.
question there was really, how does one close that gap, or how do you get those people to make the jump from a Telegram
Right.
over to WhatsApp?
So this is where I come into like a kind of a conundrum of thinking typically in analyzation is when you have developers creating a real product that works and they have good intentions and they created something that's unique, that's not there, but will it matter? Will people use it? Will it become something, right? Will, global adoption come on in a year and, all of a sudden people prefer WhatsApp because it's what they have on their phone and they take more, and so Lex AI takes a market share from Telegram, right? And it's hard to really know. It really is. WhatsApp is, what I use if we're going overseas to talk, right?
Yep.
So you're stuck in this conundrum of what ifs. And it doesn't mean it's a bad product, doesn't mean it can't do well at times, and it doesn't mean it can't capture on narratives. It doesn't mean any of that. But is it an investment vehicle long term, even short term at this point? Right. And that's kind of what I talk about with every product that I discuss is it as an investment vehicle at this point? And I guess it could be to a degree because they are doing something unique and novel. But in the end, once they're done developing and once they're done with this and that, we need to figure out if we're going to get adoption or not. And that's the road we talk about this all the time. It's probably annoying to some people, but that's where we're at with all this stuff. Is it going to get adopted? Right? Is it going to do well? We're going to get users on here, and that's where you're at with Lex AI. It's a looks like it's a cool product. It's useful. It has a use case. It would work perfectly. Let's say you had 100 million people globally all of a sudden in retail want to use like a product to start trading with bots. Well, yeah, absolutely. You'd have a lot of narrative. You have a lot of bots being used. You'd have people who prefer WhatsApp to Telegram. But when are we going to get there? I guess is my question.
Which is a fair question. I mean, and to say this as well, people were using bots back in freaking, 2021 cycle,
Mhm.
they were. And
It was really frowned upon back then.
it
But it was all
was. And then,
yeah,
after a while, I don't know, obviously, but I'm assuming somebody got tired of the hate and said, well, we can make a business model out of this. You know what I mean? And then you had
yeah.
Maestro and Banana, and you had all these different bots that
Hmm.
started coming through.
The people developing the tools instead of hiding them, they
Right.
started monetizing them.
To your point there, I think I still continue to see Telegram being the
Yeah.
main place. I do. We kind of talked about this at the beginning with Pavel from Telegram. If something were to happen there and all of a sudden Telegram started getting banned in all these different countries and things
Hmm.
like that, that would
Yeah.
be a catalyst. But in my opinion, until we see that happen, I do see Lexi AI
Hmm.
being one of those that, until there is a movement, as you're saying, over to WhatsApp, the
Right.
first mover application doesn't really apply so much there. So
Right.
I'd like to see from them more along the lines of data showing maybe how many trades are occurring, how much revenue is being made from
Right.
these trades, who's using this. Because, I can't sit here and be ignorant and say no one's using it either. But
Right.
I would confidently say that it's definitely not to the tune of what Telegram's producing out right now. And that's again because of Telegram is majority of where this lies.
It's just
So
where it all started, you know. That's where everybody met up when this whole thing started. So it's hard to.
didn't see anything really on documentations or white paper or anything along those lines
Right.
on here. So this just redirects us to the home page. Yeah, so there's nothing that I'm really seeing in regards to documentation and white paper, which I mean, I don't want to say is red flag. I like looking through documentation. It gives me on my downtime something to look through. Documentation is we're going to get down and gritty with this real quick. Documentation is important to somebody like me who has, and I'm sure CF2, when you've got a following, it is up to us to have some sort of due diligence to make sure that we've gone through and asked the hard questions. Most times, you can read a documentation and know within a few minutes if there's smoke being blown or
Right.
if this is a truly new, innovative style of project.
It's an amazing part of the game is gaining clarity on how you view the space in a correct manner and to see your analysis play out the way you've thought about it. Right. So
Yes.
it's a skill set. But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, we're not fighting anything at all, but just giving you stuff to think about. Right. Doesn't mean I won't buy it. Doesn't mean I don't think it has a narrative. Doesn't mean I think it can't have a narrative. Doesn't mean I don't think they're doing good work. So it just means, I don't see a role for something right now. I don't see how it can keep even if something has momentum like that, that we're talking about, and it doesn't have like, it's going to run out of steam at some point without real world use case or more income coming in and more people, once those whatever the first people that got into the project want to get out when they realize the volume is declining. Well, what do we have lined up to keep it moving?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't see it may be somewhere, but I'm not. When I go to the website, I feel like this is where you're going to go if you're really wanting people to learn
Mhm.
about your stuff. I looked, it looks like they launched at the end of July. But my stance there doesn't really change on the fact that the important information that I'm wanting to see
Yeah.
is not on their website. I don't. My first question is what would make the price of the Lexi token go up over time? I see nothing here about revenue share. I don't see anything about tokenomics other than the supply here and that
Right.
the tokens, Lexi. I've definitely got some questions. But then when you're unable to go to their website and find those answers to questions that you have within a few minutes of looking around, I mean, if you look at how much time people spend on a website, the average is like seconds. You
Yeah.
have 30 seconds to get someone's attention. So if you're not able to grab somebody in 30 seconds and show them the important things that they want to see, you can't
Yeah.
expect that your token's going to grow amongst many people on that side. So
Right.
yeah, but shout out to Lexi community. Those guys really shined through and got their token up here on the
They did.
bonus. So shout out to the community members. My man, last but not least, pre-AI predicting
Okay.
crypto.
I just think I'm in this project, full disclosure. I've been in it since like day two or something. So we didn't choose to talk about it for that particular reason. It was, under the comments and things like that. But predicting AI is it's a novel approach. They do have tech that no one else has. I get that
Pre-AI,
on other websites. But yeah, go ahead.
yes, pre-AI for me. Number one, this is checking off a lot of yes, full disclosure, just the same with CF. This is a bag of mine that I do have. Yeah, this is something that if it did 10x, this would be one that I would actually see a nice increase in because I really like these guys. The first thing for me from them was their wise and naive calculator is from an optimal being the best time that their algorithm has found to buy, to explosive, where it is towards their higher end, and naive being their highest end here. When I saw this product and I saw that it didn't exactly match the fear and greed index, but then got
Right.
to slowly looking at when it was prompting these to happen, and you can see here that they've done this for you between the optimal and explosive. And you and I both know that we're never going to buy the exact bottom and we're never going to
Yeah.
excel the exact top, but it's flashed an optimal buy only twice, from my understanding. Both times it has flashed an optimal buy, had you purchased around that time and you held it out to the explosive, which again, the explosive is not the naive. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the exit immediately warning. But even if you tried to just scale out so you were making some money, they have shown two different ways now where had you done it here, you'd have had a 30% increase. You'd done that with a little bit of leverage, and I'm not suggesting that to anybody, but had you done it, you'd have seen an actual pretty substantial increase. But shit,
Yeah.
even a 30% gain is a really big move if you're moving with a large stack of spot. So when I saw this was something that really caught my attention. But that's like one part of what predicting crypto's doing. What predict crypto's doing.
Yeah.
They have a rev share model coming
Yes.
that, in my opinion, I think is going to be one of the very few rev share models that's out there that will actually be worth a
They're
shit.
they're a very good team,
They are an
and they know what they're
incredible
doing.
team.
So yeah, and guys, we're gonna get real honest on here, and I hesitate a lot because I don't want people selling their bags thinking I'm right. Yeah, I have experience in this space and I do well, but I am wrong at points. But there's part of me that really does want to say the truth. Okay, these projects we talked about today, there's nothing particularly wrong with any of them. They all have built something. They all seem like they want to do something. But there are two projects, maybe three of all these we talked about that I could consider maybe having a future. And, yeah,
Thing.
I don't like people making concrete decisions based on my judgments. I never have. I want to give people the ability to think, not to make the decisions for them.
What I like about PREAI AI is the first thing
Yeah,
is exactly what CF said is the
we're
team.
talking good, bro.
Their
Yeah.
team is absolutely, it's a standout team, is what it is. I'm going to very quickly talk on yesterday. There was a situation where an account that had about 5,000 followers listed PREAI amongst like seven or eight other projects. And they basically put them in there and said, you can invest in these projects, but they're doing copy pasta work. And out of all the freaking teams that were tagged, all the tickers that were tagged, from what I saw, PREAI was the only one to address it. And I mean, they did it with poise and class. And it wasn't oh, you're wrong. This is why you're wrong, dumbass. It was a legitimate, I mean, there was like seven paragraphs, and it was like, listen, we're sorry that you came to this conclusion, but you're wrong. And here's why you're wrong. And then, of course, everything that this dude said was completely
And
tossed out of the door when his response was, you're right. I didn't do a deep
no,
dive into PREAI. And you're like, dude, what the hell?
they don't do anything.
No,
Here's the difference, guys. Let me tell you this. A lot of these guys out there will say this, but they don't know what they're doing. Even if it is okay, let's say use what's a ChatGPT for? What is it? Copy leaks to see if the code was copied. Well, oftentimes it can register a copy because developers don't want to code every single fucking part of it. They want a safe, rock solid contract. And you can go to a place like Open Zeppelin for that. You can these contracts that are secure and safe that you can have built on, through that, you can have a rock solid one and you can grab it. So it'll look like it's a copy pasta. So what, man? He took the time and effort to make sure it was safe for you, the community, for himself. And you don't have to be a Vitalik and code this stuff from scratch anymore. You just don't. A lot of them want that safe contract and they build their other little, offshoots from it on their own, the things that they're planning on adding in. And I'm not sure if that's a pre-AI. I'm not sure what they did, if they did anything at all, but if it's even relevant to them. But I want to give you an overview of this because I've seen it happen time and time again where people just take these guys' word for it. And it's like, well, how does he know? Is he going through the code line by line? Does he have an AI tool like categorizing them? You know, AI is pretty fucking primitive right now. It's not a movie. It has years and years and years of data analysis to do to get refined before it's anywhere near 100% accurate. It's just one of those things I wanted to touch on because of this incident. You need to go and look. You need to find, so copy leaks will do this to tell you if codes, it'll tell you if code is plagiarized. The plagiarized doesn't mean they're cheating. The plagiarism can show you, what it'll do is give you the source of where they think the contract came from, like a place like Open Zeppelin or other places where you can get a rock solid contract, and it'll still show up as plagiarization. Doesn't mean it's bad. So you guys need to understand these things and know how to do these things, because what's happening is the space is being taken over by fucking morons dictating what direction things go in, and they don't have a clue of what's going on. Largely, the majority of the place has an education and fuck all, and that's fine, but they're talking out of turn. They don't have the time and service, they don't have the time and experience, they have no idea what they're doing. They're just yapping. And that seems to be the social credit on CT these days, is fucking yapping when you know shit.
You're right, though. This is, again, there's going to be, out of all the projects that we discussed, there's only going to be like two or three that actually, make it outside
Sure.
of the next few months to this cycle. I don't want to say confidently, but I am probably most confident of all the tokens we've discussed. The MAVE is the markets and emotion evaluation engine. This
Mm-hmm.
is wicked cool. And it goes back to what I was talking about, is if you wanted to trade on the wise and naive, where you're already seeing these, really nice indicators on maybe when you should exit or make an entry into something. And what I really like about these guys is, from my understanding, the back testing in this has been done more than most projects have even been around. So much to the point where in their beta testing, they're getting about an average of 18% a month across 100 different tokens that they've back tested this on. We have been in a very misconstrued space for the last few cycles where people get in a token, they expect a 5x return, which to me is fucking bonkers in this stage in the market. 18% average monthly is huge. When you look across traditional finance, you don't have these people that do this for a living with billion-dollar algorithms. And I'm not saying that this is better
Mm-hmm.
than, but if the results truly match what's being tested here, at an 18% increase a month is huge. If I could put in $10,000 and let it work for me, and over the course of 6 months allow it to perform 18% on average monthly for me, I'm going to let you guys know that
Yeah.
I won't say that I will quit my degen side in gym hunting, because I just enjoy it a little bit too much and I like the diving. But I will absolutely make a very large shift into probably about a 75-25, where right about now 75% of what I do is in, the low caps and the, things under 5 million, 10 million, really digging around. I will probably make that shift and put 75% of my holdings into a bot that can give me an average return of 18% a
Right.
month, because it just makes more sense for me. And where this comes in really big for pre-AI holders, I believe, you've got this revenue system. A good majority of it is going to go to the pre-AI stakers, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
50% get kicked back to the stakeholders, but also 50% of it's going to go over to into the treasury. I like that they've token gated the wise and naive. These guys are really cool in the sense of, there is a I forget exactly where it is, but there is a Twitter that is dedicated to showing the wise and naive like once a day. These guys are really on point with everything that they're doing, that I've seen. Their land bot, I won't get into that because I feel like we've pretty much covered what Landbot does and
Yeah.
like two or three of the other freaking tokens that we've done. But
Yeah, I agree.
their bread and butter is the wise and naive, and it's the Mave. It is going to propel pre-AI in a way that I don't think has really been seen in quite some time. And looking at the chart again, it matches every other freaking one that we've
Yes.
looked at. I mean, I think the only one that didn't match this was Intel X because it was only like 10 days old. And that's pretty fresh when you're launching these markets, but almost every single chart looked similar to this what we're looking at right here
Yeah.
from PREAI. But I am uber bullish. Again, I have bias towards it. It is one of my bigger bags that I have.
One thing I'll tell you is that if you're not willing to do this stuff, you're going to lose. It's like thinking a guppy can swim with the sharks. You know, you might last a few minutes, you might get lucky and figure out a place to hide, but you're going to get eaten eventually. Because when I first came to market, you know, same thing. Like I thought I could do it a certain way and I had to adapt 1,000 times because how can you possibly beat out somebody who's been doing it for 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 years consistently when you're new and you're unwilling to put in the work that they did? How can you know what they know? Even when they tell you something you can't know, you need the experience to guide your intuition, you need experience to guide your mind and to execute, right? Doesn't matter what I say.
100%. It's innovative. It's unique.
Yep.
It is, in my opinion, right now, pretty much directed to crypto guys only. However, in
Yeah.
my personal opinion, it's easier said than done. But
Mm-hmm.
it probably wouldn't take these guys because they have a really strong team much for them to
Mm-hmm.
flip over and
Yep.
start maybe looking at traditional finance and using this in a traditional finance manner. So I could see the real world application applying there. The team is KYC'd through Assure. They have the badge, all that good stuff. I love that. Again, it doesn't make the team bulletproof. However, what it does do is it gives myself personally a little bit of sense of calm because again, I've seen what Assure does in the sense of trying to deter bad actors in our space. So
Yep.
shout out to Assure and them for doing that. And then looking at their Twitter is very active. They have their latest post was 6 hours ago. They,
Mm-hmm.
from what I've seen, they post almost daily. There are maybe a hints here and there where it's a few days skipped, but it is multiple times a week. These guys have
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable communication. Step in the Telegram, you'll see it there as well. But this is one of
Yeah.
those that I would really suggest and recommend to people. Again, this is biased. Take it for what you will. I really suggest you guys taking some time to look into what these guys are doing. This project is one of the truly innovative ones that I've seen, and I don't like saying
Right.
it loosely like that, but they've done a really good job, man. They've done a really good
Yeah.
job.
Agreed.
Just in closing here, we have to give everyone that took time out of their day to show up for their communities, to recommend projects for
Yeah.
us to take a look at. These projects weren't picked by us. They were picked by you guys. And the only reason we did the two bonus Lexi and PREAI was because really those communities showed up after I did the quote tweet and said, get your
Mm-hmm.
picks in. Let's figure out who we're going to talk about.
Right.
And both those communities showed up heavy. There is no agenda with what CF and I talk about here. Okay. This is none of these projects paid us. None of these projects, anything with us. They didn't give us an okay I mean, we don't need their fucking permission to talk about them, but we didn't have any, dialogue with them prior to us sitting down here to learn more about them. We wanted to have this as an authentic way of how we kind of go throughout our basis of researching on these
Right.
tokens. And we spent damn near 3.5 hours doing so. We're only going to ask you guys to comment on here if there's something that maybe we got misconstrued, but also if there's ways that we can improve how we're going about things, not on an individual project here, but how you guys would like to see these projects broken down in the future. If there's maybe a category that we missed that we didn't, that we're not looking at, and certain things we're not looking at, let us know. We're absolutely receptive to feedback. So we're only here to try to make this better and to try to make our space a safe place and to maybe give you guys some insight into the questions that really should be asked when you guys are looking at these projects. And again,
Correct.
CF nailed this when he said you have to be able to be receptive and then make the adjustment. You can't be a guppy out here swimming with the sharks. CF, do you have
All right,
anything
man.
that you want to say here in closing?
No, I said it all. We'll meet
I
next
think
week
so
again.
too. I
Discuss
think
some
so
more
too.
market stuff. So
Awesome. CF, I appreciate you. I know this was
Yeah,
a
brother.
chunk out of your day, man, but I really
It's all
appreciate you
good.
taking some time here. I did a lot more rambling. Next time you're going to be running the show.
Oh, it's all good, brother. Talk soon.
All right, buddy. Have a
Thanks
good day.
everybody out there for showing. All right, bye.
Absolutely. See you guys.